So every plant has a story to tell. Every bird, everything had a purpose. The Native Americans knew very well. And so when we see something, it's like seeing an old friend. And once you know their names, you never feel quite alone. You always feel like, yeah, we belong here. It's something that's just very encouraging to come into an area, any area, and just see what life is actually there.
So I've been in nature my entire life, all the way through Boy Scouts, through growing up hunting and fishing with my family, even as far as going to forestry school to become a forester so that I would never have to talk to people. I could just be out in the woods all the time. But what I realized as I got older and started to have my own family was that kids today don't have the same sort of experiences that I had as a child, or access to those experiences. And so my decision to enter into a career related to nature centers really came from the idea that I want all kids to have access to places like Blandford or the Highlands, because it really does make a difference in our well-being.
Well, I've lived in Coopersville my whole life, and I always hunted and walked and everything in the area. I always wanted a piece of property. And in late 80s, I bought a piece of property, a 7-acre piece adjoining this. And the Dodds were living here at the time, Mrs. Dodd, who was in her 90s. Stopped by and see her old dog every once in a while. We talk, and then got permission to go walk every once in a while. I just fell in love with it immediately. Then it came up that her son offered it to me if I wouldn't subdivide and develop it, and that was a good deal.
Coming into a preserve or a natural area, the hunt, you never know what you're going to find, and it's constantly changing. It's very relaxing to come into an area and just stroll about slowly, taking in the sounds and the smells and just feeling the different type of ground underneath your feet. It's rewarding for me. My wife often comes along. We go together and just try to observe everything that is there, or just talk and walk slowly and meandering throughout an area. And it's very relaxing and fulfills the needs of the soul in a lot of ways.
When Blandford was first approached by the developer who was purchasing the Highlands, we realized that this parcel was going to turn into a housing subdivision and be gone forever. And we started the discussion about acquiring the piece of land from the developer. And what we quickly realized is that as a nature center who focuses on people in nature, buying land was not our forte. And so we went out and we found the Land Conservancy of West Michigan to be the best partner that we could find in terms of that, because that's what they do. And so now we're at a point where we've gotten the land out of the developer's hands, and together we're starting to envision what this project can look like from both an ecological standpoint and a habitat restoration standpoint, which is really what the Land Conservancy is great at, as well as how does it foster the community becoming engaged with nature on a personal level. And that's where Blandford shines through. And so together, our partnership really makes this a project that will rise above all others that we do as individual organizations.
So in the 20s, there were no trees here at all. You could see straight through. And they planted red pine, white pine, and these Norway spruce, which were the last edition, about that period of time. So it's been fun to show the kids, and groups of kids would come out. We'd talk and walk through the woods, identify trees, and we'd camp out at night and tell wild stories. It was a great place to grow up. I really get a lot of satisfaction thinking this will be here. And they won't even know who I was. But 50 years from now, the way this is set up, this piece will be here as much as you can protect anything in this world with global warming and invasive species and yada, yada, yada. But that's a really good feeling, very satisfying to know that other people can enjoy it. And I've really I was going to give it away as a park, but I also appreciate the private ownership aspect. After talking to April Schultz about it, you care for it best if you own it and you love it and you have a piece of it. So I think it's really a good model, because it is an awful lot for one organization to take care of, as she explained to me. And we can accomplish all the goals with this kind of a program, which I think has been a great idea.
It's always fun to see what is around the corner, that sense of adventure and just not knowing. It's a treasure hunt, and Every species is a treasure. So it is a beautiful area to set aside and say, hey, this is important for the people who live in the greater community and to sustain all the different natural communities that are in the county or in West Michigan or in Michigan in general.
You know, when I stand here and look out across the Highlands, I see trees that have been here for longer than my parents or even my grandparents have been around. And sometimes I think, if that tree could see, what has it seen in its lifetime? And it's pretty phenomenal to think about the fact that some of these trees were here and the farmers pulling their plows with horses would sit and eat lunch under them. And just think, here we are 100 years later, and we have families with their kids under the same tree having lunch.